Dorothy Mulei, as you know, and I'm saved. The Lord called me into his ministry, and I minister in Ukamba Bible College as a lecturer. And my husband is here in Umoja. We are God's servants. And I've taught Ukamba Bible College since 90s. But this 2016 July, after I had finished my courses, I had a bang on my head and a weakness that sikuwa ninaifikiria. And then I called my husband, kumwambia ile kitu nasikia hapa kwa kichwa, I don't trust it. And so I went to Kijabe and I was tested and my blood counts were down. And because they were down, they said there must be something that is eating up the blood. There is something that must be eating up the blood. And so they sent me to Lancet Limited so that I may be tested, my bone marrow. And after they tested, they realized and confirmed that I had acute leukemia. I could differentiate between acute leukemia and single cell, but I Googled and I confirmed, and I knew that this beast is not good. And I told him, I think we need to consult and see the way forward. We saw our sister in Kenyatta National Hospital and conducted Dr. Nyongeza. And because my blood counts were very down, I was given a blood transfusion and admitted in Texas Cancer Center. Now the greatest drama was how to tell and to communicate to the children that I had cancer and I was admitted, because all of them were in school. But through God's wisdom, he sat down with each of the children and told them, Mama is sick, cancer, and is going to be well. But someone slipped and told the little son, who was alikuwa mdogo sana, that your mother akona ugonjwa mbaya sana na hatapita atakufa. And that trauma carried this son until 1 year ago. Ndio aliacha kuniuliza akienda shule, mami, utakuja kwa visiting? Always you tell mami, you look straight in my eyes and look at me and say, Mami, will you come for my visiting? In short, in between the line I knew he was asking me, Mami, will you be alive to come to my visiting? And after 2 weeks, the church administration near, some leaders that are not here and also women leaders, wakakaa chini na wakasema mke wa mchungaji ni lazima atibiwe. And incorporated you, and in about 2 weeks, because we had the passport, prepared the visa, and we flew to India. That was in 31st of August, 2016. And from September, October, I went through the treatment that I said would cost about 2.5 million. But at the end, it costed about, I think, 6 million. But at the end of the treatment of the chemotherapy, they said that the cancer had shoot to the 2nd stage. And so I cannot come back to Kenya. And the side effects of chemotherapy are bad and tough. You see, chemotherapy kills the good and the bad cells. And my hair went off. I had big hair, ilikuwa inafika huku nafanya hivi. Lakini ikaisha kabisa. At one point ilioza ikaanguka yote. And can you imagine from 2016 up to this, sasa ndio nimesukwa. I was telling me that it's a new restoration. Na unajua sasa, I reach a point about ama is whether isukwe ama isukwe, because especially when what you love goes, naikaenda. But I thank God that God is giving a new restoration. Nywele imemea. I lost weight to a bit 40 kilos. And God is restoring my health. And so the chemotherapy and the treatment is cruel and tough. And also the medication, but God took us through it. And so in October, when they said it's second stage and I cannot come back to Kenya, at that time I was with my mom because my dear one had come to at least raise funds for the next treatment. They said I had to be done a bone marrow transplant and I must have a donor. And so my 2 sisters and 2 brothers were done tests here in Kenya. And walipofanyiwa hizo tests, one of our sisters came 10/10. It's not easy to get a donor. But by God's providence, a donor was found, 10/10. And then she flew to Kenya and came. And I remember at one point asking my husband that you have sent a donor to India. And we need a 3.5 million deposit. Na hiyo pesa haiko. Then you tell me the money will be realized. And I remember one day and 2 days before now, sasa, because the doctors and tell us if you do not have the money, lazima mkuje. You have to come back because we are stuck. And at this, one person and a member and a friend called my husband and he asked him, Mchungaji, uko wapi? Where are you? Have you seen the 3.5 deposit to take your to go for treatment? Akamwambia hapana. Akamwambia then come to my house tonight. Then he said today, tomorrow, at saa 3, I'll deposit 3.5 million in your account. Na hatutaandika mahali, nenda wewe, mke wako atibiwe, atarudi na tutajua vile tutalipa. But just go. And I'm sure that ataenda atibiwe na atapona na atakuja kupatiana testimony. And we thought that the 3.5 million would be enough. It wasn't. It eats up to 6 million. You send another million, and it eats up to 6 million. And I thank God for such friends that can stand with us and with your support at the church we are where we are. And so after the bone marrow transplant, that was very tough, my sister came and then akatolewa bone marrow na ni akawekwa. As I speak now, I always say that I have the blood of my sister Jackie and our bone marrow. And to be sure that my bone marrow is in need. I think 2 months ago we went for a test and my blood counts are at 15. So that means that there's nothing that is eating up my blood. And so we thank God for his victory and the way he has gone with us. But we thank God that I have no cancer, but the immunity is low. I take medication every day. The medication is very expensive. And that idea that you have to live forever taking drugs, sometimes it drains you and sometimes frustrates somebody. But you see, you have to walk and attract your mind and say that you can make it. And you fight, and you have a fighting spirit that it is possible. In Jesus' name. And so we have, and from 2016, 2017, we went to India on and from, almost about 3 to 4 visits in India. But I think in 2018, the doctors gave up, and they gave us their final word. And they said, I remember they came into the isolation room where I was and said, Dorothy, you know that we've done all we could, and you've lived enough as a blood cancer survivor. I told them yes. They said, according to your condition, we can't make it anymore. And so please just prepare for exit. In short, they were telling me, go back to your homeland because there's nothing. And for sure, according to the test, there was nothing they could do because the kidney had an infection, my lungs were full of water, the liver had a problem, several organs, and started closing down slowly and slowly. And I came in the room, and because he had gone to prepare food for me in the guest house, I told him the report, and then he told me, I've heard it, but God has the final say. And I remember in that isolation room in ICU, he sang that song and said, who has the final say? Jehovah has the final say. And for sure, God had the final say. In the afternoon, another doctor came, and he said, I'll have to take you to the theater twice. And in the theater, they took drained water from thy lungs, about, I think, 8 liters. And I was all swollen. And then in 2 weeks, we had to come back. And because I knew the situation was not worse, I sat down and told my husband, please catch up the next flight. I do not want to go back to Kenya as a cargo. Do whatever you can that in the next flight we will be seated in Emirates back to my homeland. I want first to see my children before I die. Because when you die in abroad, you are taken back as a cargo. Na nikamwambia mimi sitaki kupelekwa kama muziko. Nipelekwa nikiwa ninaona na hii macho yangu. And that God would give me a chance that I may see my family. And that would be off. And for sure, in the next 2 weeks, we flew back here into Kenya. But after 1 week, my lungs collapsed and I was on oxygen. I remember I was with my little girl, Beth and Muoki, and they watched me. But I remember I got the strength for about a minute. And I called my sister and nikamwambia, Mrembo, tuma ambulance. I'm not breathing. Na wakakuja hapa Umoja wakanipeleka Texas Cancer Center. Texas Cancer Center, I was put on oxygen. And I remember that 2018, because it was on Christmas, it was not easy for us as a family. And I knew I was 50-50. I had given up. And I remember asking my husband, why have you not released me, you people? Simuniachilie mimi nikufe. Because we have sent so much money. Watoto wako shule, we are struggling with finances. Please let me go because I don't, and the pain that I'm going through, I can't handle it anymore. And I had no strength to fight in my life anymore. And I remember in the last day, I told them, I prayed the first day, nikaambia Mungu, please tomorrow, I do not want to see the light. Asubuhi nikaamka, I saw the light. Nikamwambia Mungu tulielewana, please God, what did we do? Because these people are not releasing me. God, we have to talk person to person, like Moses, face to face. The second day nikaomba Mungu, ninaomba nikifunga macho kesho nisifungue. The second day, nikaona. The third day, I still saw it. Na nikasema, Paul prayed 3 times. Lord, I'm going to add a 4th time. Please, God, receive me. And I had done enough of forgiveness. Nikamwambia Mungu nisamehe yote kwa sababu ninakuja tu. And on the 4th day, he never answered my prayer. And then I told him, Lord, I've confirmed that my work here on earth is not yet finished. God, give me the inner strength to fight on. And that is the day that God gave me a second chance to live. And for sure, he gave me a second chance to live. And I remember I told Dr. Nyongeza, please, I need to go back home. mi sitaki kwa hospitali. I want to go back to Umoja. And when we came into Umoja, I was on oxygen and I was struggling, and we had to change houses so that I may have fresh air. I was on oxygen for about 3 weeks, nurse in the hospital, and I was paralyzed. I reduced even to 40 and all these, and my face was dark. But God has renewed my strength, and I thank God for his healing, because at this point I thank God, because he has worked with me. Every morning, ninaona watu wakikunywa tudawa tudogo, they give up a medication of about 7 days. Every day ninatuanga 10. And I wake up and I'm now utaingia. And I don't have to have appetite. The test of my this tank, the tank went off completely. Ilitoka yote. Nilikoa siku moja ikatoka yote. And so it was a wound that I treated for almost 1 year. So test ilirudi 2 years ago. Sasa I never knew how to test soda or whatever, because the test had gone. And so I take those medications. Sometimes they are expensive, sometimes it's training, sometimes I go down, sometimes I'll blow. But I thank God that the Lord has worked with us. And I'm just battling with infections all through. And I thank God that God has been with us. But now, last year, when all was going on and I was I realized that I'm not seeing. Then they would tell me, look, something I cannot see. Then we went to the doctor, then we were referred to Lions. Then when they looked at it, because we went through so many tests, they said that my retina is being destroyed. I think 70%. It's only 30% that now it's remaining of my eyesight. But in April, the things became worse. More worse. And then it says that the condition of my eyes is bad, and I have to be checked before I completely lose my eyesight. And this one gave me a big blow. Because in the condition that I am in, then I asked the Lord, I will not be single. I will not be able to see my children. I will not be able to see and move on in ministry. I'm not struggling. I struggled for 2 weeks because I didn't want. And the worst part of it is the experience of going. Unauliza sasa, that and now in the shoes that now you have to raise funds again for treatment. That has brought us down as a family. When you reach a point and you are not able, na ujiwezi, you cannot as a family make it, na kuna dawa, and sometimes they are expensive, and now this, and we have to go back to India. It struck me. And I remember the church leader, AIC Umoja Women Fellowship, WLCC came, and I told them, I'm going to tell you for sure that I had a fighting spirit, but now it's new. I don't have it. Na afadhali uzeme ile iko. Mimi I'm always honest. Afadhali uzeme aujiwezi. Na kwa sababu, and I told them for sure I had it. I'm fighting, but now mimi sasa hii siwezi. Na Mungu achukulie. Because to raise funds and to go the process of it, and that trauma for my children. Unajua saa ingine unasema, for the trauma that you have gone, I don't need my family to go through and the pain. Please, Lord, can you do it? You not want to complete the sentence, but you wish that you need. But I thank God that God, after prayer and a lot of prayer, people prayed for me. And can you imagine? I think from the first service up to now, I've not put the artificial tears. When people started praying for me for the eyes, God in his own miracle provided the lubricant that I need for the eyes. I don't put it frequently. And so God has started healing me because of prayer. And what am I saying? Cancer has stigma and isolation. Let me tell you. Because at the verge of hearing that a person has cancer, people start preparing for your funeral. And at one point when we were preparing for our mother's funeral, people never wanted to know nani mgonjwa. walikuwa wanadhani yule anapaswa kufa ni mrembo wa Muoki, mke wake. So they never wasted time. They said, rest in peace, Mama Ruth. Rest in peace. Because yule wa kukufa ni nani? Kuna mwingine. And at one point, somebody posted, rest in peace, in a forum that I was in. And then after a few hours, like I get straight, like I'm here. Because cancer has its own stigma and isolation. And without a support system of love that you've given us as a church, and a support system of the family, people cannot go on with cancer. And so what am I saying? For the patients that are going through cancer, it's important to admit, because when you admit, you get healed. For the people that do not have cancer, please go and be tested. I think I'm healed, and I got healed, yes, because of God, but we rushed in the administration of this church. Walikimbia, nikatibiwa haraka. And so that's why my cancer went off. And thirdly, for the caregivers that stay with people that are sick, please have empathy on the sick and those that are struggling. Ata cancer, even the chronic illnesses. Please take care and empathize with people that are struggling. I've seen people separate kwa sababu mtu ako nini. Na kama uko na mgonjwa kwa nyumba, please take care of that person. Because one day you will need somebody. And you are in your healthy life, when you feel that you are fit, please check on the others, because one day you will need them. One day you will need me. One day you will need one another. One day you will need that person that next to you. One day you will need that person that is next to you in your plot. Because sometimes we cannot make it because we have our own weaknesses. And so I'm testifying, and I'm standing here as testimony, as a backup of you, Umoja, that I'm living because you stood with me and God stood with me. And I'm sharing that testimony that God heals cancer and will take us through, and he has carried me and has sustained me and he has strengthened me. And though the challenge of the highs is striking hard, I'm telling the Lord that he's able to heal. And that I can do all things through Christ that enables me. And through this experience of weakness physically, weakness spiritually, and emotionally, when you get down, you can reach a point and feel that you cannot make it. And you are downcasted. Because there are times when you reach in a verge and in a dark corner when you feel that life is not it. One person says this, the light shineth the brightest at the darkest hour. The light shineth the brightest at the darkest what? Hour. Let's seek the Lord, and let's know that the grace of God and the power of God is evident in our life. Na wakati ambao unalelemewa, mwambie Mungu nifunulie. May God's favor, may God's grace abound in your life. And thank you. And because you have walked with us, may the Lord also walk with you. And we have been praying a special prayer in our family that nobody will ever walk this journey that we are walking. Hii kazi ya kuwalk na kukunywa madawa tumekataa kwa watu wetu ambao wasimenazima na sisi. We have resisted. Let us carry the burden for you, na tunaambia nyinyi muendelee tu. Because we never wish that people will go through it, but we know that the God is going to bless us. Thank you. God bless you. And may Lord's favor abound.